Today we have breaking news about civil rights. There was a law passed that outlawed all discrimination, public accommodation, that also outlawed public discrimination based on race, color, religion, and national origin. If the states do not comply then they will lose all federal funding from the government. Now, over to Jacob.
I'm reporting to you live from Washington, D.C., where there's currently a protest called the March on Washington. The March on Washington was also known as March on Washington for Jobs and Freedoms. The March on Washington also advocated for civil and economic rights, which is very important. The March on Washington became the largest demonstration ever seen in American history with 250,000 people. Now that's a lot of people. The March on Washington was the African Americans trying to pressure the government into passing laws to help them out with jobs.
The March on Washington and the Civil Rights Act are similar because they both push civil rights for African Americans. The Civil Rights Act, which happened in 1964, happened right after the March on Washington, which happened in 1963. As you know, the March on Washington is also known as the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. As you also know, the march was to advocate for civil and economic rights for African Americans. The Civil Rights Act outlawed discrimination in all public accommodations. It also outlawed employment discrimination on the basis of race, color, ethnicity, religion, gender, and national origin. So they both helped African Americans find jobs. That's how the March on Washington and the Civil Rights Act are similar.